Hello and welcome back to our basic JavaScript course. This is store multiple values in one variable using JavaScript arrays. With JavaScript array variables, we can store several pieces of data in one place. You start an array declaration with an opening square bracket, end it with a closing square bracket, and put a comma between each entry like this. So here's var sandwich, peanut butter, jelly, bread, and this is an array of 3 strings. Modify the new array, myArray, so that it contains both a string and a number in that order. Hint, refer to the example in the code editor if you get stuck. So we're doing the same thing. So we're doing a string first and a number. And now we have an array which contains 2 things. 1 is a string and 2 is a number. But we'll learn more about these in the next lesson. Go to the next one. So nest one array within another array. You can also nest arrays within other arrays, like this. Bulls, 23. White Sox, 45. This is also called a multi-dimensional array. So create a nested array called myArray. It doesn't really tell you what not to do, so we'll just do 2 arrays in there. One will say Jose, one will say Moreno. We can add even Jose first name. We can do last name. So that would be a nested array called myArray. Should have at least, oh, we forgot this important comma there. Run test, and now it worked. Access array data with indexes. We can access the data inside arrays using indexes. Array indexes are written in the same bracket notation that strings use, except that instead of specifying a character, they are specifying an entry in the array. Like strings, arrays use zero-based indexing, so the first element in an array is element 0. So here's an example. We have a variable array. It contains these 3 numbers. To access the first number, we would use array 0, which would give us 50. We could save an element in an array like this. Var data is assigned whatever is in index 1, which would be 60. There shouldn't be any spaces between the array name and the square brackets like array 0. Let's move that. So there shouldn't be any spaces between the array name and the square brackets. Like there shouldn't be a space there. Although JavaScript is able to process this correctly, this may confuse other programmers reading your code. I was not even aware of that. But yeah, you should never write it like that. It should be right next to itself. Create a variable called myData and set it to equal the first value of myArray using bracket notation. So create, let me change code here. Create a variable, myData, and set it to equal the first value of myArray. So my array first value would be 0, and run test. We did pass. And let's actually take a look at this one since we're accessing parts of our array. Console.log, well, what did we call data? My data, and it is output 50. And that is why, because here we assigned it myArray element 0. What's there on that position in the 0 index? If we were to do 2, it would grab 70. So let us continue. That was accessing elements within our array. It's yelling because of this. Continue now. Modify array data with indexes. Unlike strings, the entries of arrays are mutable and can be changed freely. For example, our array 50, 40, and 30. Here they select the element at index 0, which is 50, and they're updating it to be 15. So now that array is 15, 40, and 30. That 50 was changed. Note there shouldn't be any spaces between the array name and the square brackets like array, just like the other one. Although JavaScript's able to process this, it may confuse others for code, so don't add a space there. Modify the data stored at index 0 of myArray to a value of 45. So index 0 would be 18. We're going to update that to be 45, and we're going to do that by, similar to what they did there. We're going to do myArray 0 assigned 45. We could console log to make sure that we are right, and it is 45. So we should pass this. We did pass it. So this is access multidimensional arrays with indexes. One way to think of a multidimensional array is as an array of arrays. When you use brackets to access your array, the first set of brackets refers to the entries in the outermost or the first level array, and each additional pair of brackets refers to the next level of entries inside. So let's look at this example here. We have this array, and it contains 4 more arrays. And then this array over here has another array. So R3 would target the 4th element in our array since it starts at 0, 2, 3, 4. And that's why we get that. If you did R3, 0, that would get you the 4th element and then the 0th, which would be this first array in there. And that's why we get the 10, 11, 12, because 3 would be the 4th element because of 0 indexing, and then 0 because that's the first element within there. R301 would give us 11, and that again, if we follow the same order, 3 would be this 4th element, 0 would be the first element within there, which is this array, and then 1 would target 0, and then 1, which is at 11, and that's why we get 11. So there shouldn't be any spaces between the array name and the square brackets, like array 0. There should not be a space there. And even this, array 0 space 0, that should not happen either. Although JavaScript's able to process this correctly, this may confuse other programmers reading your code. So no spaces like that. I don't know why anybody would even want to do that. Using bracket notation, select an element from my array such that my data is equal to 8. So we see an 8 here. How would we access that? Well, on the first level, we have 1, or I should say 0, 1, 2. First, we want to do 2, and then we want to do 0, 1. So that would be 1. And we can check it before running tests. It should equal 8. So console log my data, and there's 8. So we should pass this, and we did. Manipulate arrays with push. An easy way to append data to the end of an array is via the push function. .push takes one or more parameters and pushes them onto the end of the array. So here's var r is assigned this array here, which contains the numbers 1, 2, and 3. If we push 4, then our array is now 1, 2, 3, 4. So push array dog 3 onto the end of the myArray variable. So that will push this array with the string of dog and the number of 3. So right now my array contains these 2. Now we're going to push a third array within our array by doing my array dot push, and copy this here, there, and then console log to see what that did, and there's our dog 3. Now if we run test, we should pass. We did. So I'm going to go ahead and stop there. We learned a bunch of cool stuff about arrays and how to access elements within our array, how to change an element within our array. We learned the push method, practice arrays as they are key in development later on, and you'll get arrays of lots of data that you want to sort through and know how to do different methods to get the job done. But just make sure to practice, share, like, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.